Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Empower Podcast. If you don't know what the Empower Podcast is, it's a podcast run by healthcare professionals for healthcare professionals and community healers and the general public to increase transparency and awareness within the healthcare field and around the whole world. We have a guest here coming to us from Canada. We have Dude. Hello, Dude.
Hello.
Dude, can you tell us a little bit where it is you are at geographically, the impacts, I guess, that you have of maybe individuals within your social structure? I guess that can help out too. Or we can get to that later, whichever you feel. Again, no structure here as well. We want to start off too with the acknowledgement. So let's do the acknowledgement here first, and acknowledge it or thanks that you'd like to present to any individuals or organizations.
Where do I even start? There's so many people doing
Nothing
great
wrong
things.
here. Yeah, take your time.
Totally. And sometimes I imagine and I think there's a lot of people or humans doing things that we cannot see or hear, that I'm grateful for. The humans that put in the effort, put in the good energy, contribute in their own way, and specifically in a way that we perhaps cannot measure or we haven't measured yet in society. And this could be, a human being that you just come across, walking on the street and they smile to you. You're not having a good day and they just smile. Or you make eye contact with someone who you just connect with, a stranger, but you feel safe, you feel heard or understood. Or it could be someone that you don't even see, like I mentioned. And I'm just grateful for everyone, in society, I guess. Just shout out to everyone. Huge gratitude to you, to myself, to everyone around.
The unseen and the unheard. Wow. Is that what you say they are? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yes, the unseen and the unheard. And the unknown. The unknown, too. I'd say even the unknown. Wow, you're up.
The mysterious, the unknown.
Yeah. Well, not all unknown is mysterious, and not all is mysterious is unknown, too. Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. I have to ask myself sometime on the show, does this guest make you feel empowered? Wow. That was a powerful share, dude. It truly was. And I wanted to go... There was a break in between this, folks. Yes, it's all right. Nothing wrong here. And from that, I wanted to pivot into those who are curious on the Empower podcast. Is it coming out of here? Is this one of the first couple episodes? No. Please go ahead and look at the past episodes as well. We're coming back here with gratitude and self-expression as our focal point as well. There's really no wrong answers on this show, folks. And one of the things that I've really realized here, before we lead into the overall question as to why we are here, is you're not always going to get the same answer on here. So if you're liking this episode or you're not, please go ahead and try them on. And I'm not trying to put you down, dude. Anybody, see what you discover, because I've found out, even for myself, from other listeners, that they've gone back, listened to a couple other episodes, and they've come back to even the most recent ones, and they've found them even more enjoyable. Sometimes I guess you have to read the books out of order and still discover whatever it is if you want, and that might be what Empower is. I can't really say for sure. I'm still discovering with it. But so, coming from Canada, from the U.S. as well, what, in your opinion, dude, is happening in healthcare?
I don't know. To start, I'll share with you my personal, I guess, experiences of well-being, but I'm definitely, just want to clarify, I'm not going to talk about anything in regards to, healthcare as however it is, and just I'm going to be sharing my personal experiences. It's not, whatever I'm saying is just my personal perspective. It's not professional advice. It's not criticism towards anything or anyone. I'm not going to go there at all. I'm just going to focus on, my intention is just to speak of my personal experience, not give advice at all. I encourage anyone listening to seek their own, professional, consultations or advice from people that that are experts. I'm not an expert in anything I say.
And do your own research as well, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
Yes. So it's just we're just having fun.
Yeah,
chatting
and
here,
not to invalidate your
any advice or
experience. Yeah,
criticizing anyone. Yeah.
correct at all either, because your experiences are very valuable too. So, and those may not be covered by research, as we even said. I'm glad you covered the unknown, the unseen, and the unheard, because there are areas within health and wellness that this exists in too. And you might be up. I think you're up to something with cracking the nutshell of healthcare is what I would call it too. Is being able to have it in measure, because we as humans do live life in measure, and we may not have the words or the statistics or the data yet to say what it is we want to say or to express, but it doesn't mean that it can't be, and you may have to take time to do it, so, and it doesn't mean, in the end, from what I've seen, some people have been told things were impossible, but in the end they weren't, so, but yes, and thank you for that clarifying disclaimer as well. Appreciate that. So what, in your opinion, even, I guess we'll say even all things health and wellness, what in your opinion is happening out there? What's the forecast?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to answer this like you're asking me what's happening out there, and I'm not going to answer that, but I will share with you.
Or declare integrity.
With
and
myself.
Correct.
And what I've discovered about, what is my aim regarding health and well-being on a personal level, and I appreciate that you have a podcast called Empower, and the way I perceive it is, how can I empower myself to be the best I can for myself and for the people around me, because the people around me are very important. No one specifically, but I realize that it's, the importance. I need to take care of myself, and then I need to also, and I realize it's nice to have people around, and not necessarily, try to live from a perspective of, I'm going to do everything alone and I don't need anyone else. That, to me, growing up, was a bit of a perspective that I had that occurred to me at the time, or appeared to me, or I perceived it as like, oh, it's a cool, tough, exciting, strong thing to, not need anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So from my perspective, even when you look at the people that, not the people, even when I look at myself back then, having that mindset of I can do it alone, quote unquote, even then, I still needed other people. So I've always discovered that there's a need for other humans, for collaboration, for enhanced experiences, or an enhanced experience of life. So I'll stop now and see if you have anything else to add, or
yeah, absolutely. No, that's powerful share there, is to be able to look at the overall impact of those around you, and to see that a lot of stuff, and that's one of the best findings, or if not one of the best discoveries, I think, of life, is not alone but together, is the way I say it. At least that I've discovered it. Correct, yeah. Even whether it's in business, whether it's for personal life, whether if it's even just waiting in line for a latte or to pick up food, because it's us in numbers. We as humans is in numbers that will truly make a difference. There's a quote and I'm here to step on your quote too, because we still have an empowering quote to bring you all back, folks. And it is that if you think that a small group of people cannot change history, it's the mere only thing that has. And it's the only thing that those in small numbers, as unreasonable as it may have been, not illegal. I'm not here to justify breaking the law, but those who maybe were unreasonable, didn't put up with the current system, or declared its integrity for what was so, and then wanted to make a difference, but not alone too. Because trying to make that and do that kind of stuff alone, not to say that it can't be done. I'm saying, for me, in groups, it's been done, and done usually a lot more efficiently. And there's areas, I think, of integrity even for us seeing in the use of, whether it's social media, the internet, whatnot, as to the integrity of not just healthcare and health and wellness, but systems across the board. Being able to declare for ourselves and being our own generation to say, we're fed up with this. We'd like to make a difference here. We see promise here. Let's see what we can do. Let's put 2 and 2 together. We know that 2 and 2 can't make 4, but let's try to make it as quickly as we can, and not as quickly sometimes too, but as efficiently to make it 4. Because in today's world, even whether it's the tax system, whether it's wanting to any avenues, I guess, for life, you're going to have to go down the areas, some people call it failure, I call it discovery, of discovering how things are just not done, and there are ways that things can be done and undone, and sometimes later tried to be done, and I get what you're saying here, but it's the integrity of not just health and wellness, but the aspect of how that leads to the overall social structure, because the together or the small group can also be your own social structure, not just of the communities that you live in, not just that the city in which you're in, but even here, and here's the legal system, at least from what I found in the United States, if something is in the integrity of the law, the majority of the time you have a jury of your peers, where then it comes down to the law being judged by a group of people that are around your age or in the consensus, and that could even be for health and wellness. I mean, we have hospital bills, regardless, throughout the world, where people are looking at the amount and they're looking at the integrity. And in other areas of the world, even throughout the United States, people are wondering if it's worth the dollar amount. So I guess for me, what I would wonder is moving back into the gratitude, into the self-expression, is when your health and wellness is in check, do you feel self-expressed more? Do you feel more gratitude? And is that because you've had not only a good experience, whether in Canada, whether in Ethiopia, whether in Zimbabwe, whether in the United States, does that lead to your overall, what I would call then, quality of life? And the quality of life, I think, is the juice. That's beyond any pill. That's hopefully in the area of, they say the term is nirvana. I'm not here for the band either, but and not to say that it can't be a fleeting thing, something we approach and then, we veer away from, and then we approach and we veer away from, almost like, I'm getting philosophical here, dude, but nothing wrong here. Is happiness? Is happiness something we truly reach? Or is it something we continue to strive towards and see what that feels like and what it is we can bring to the table? Because, what is it? There's the oldest phrase, too, I've heard, too, that laughter is the best medicine. So we might as well take a laugh to laugh at that, because somebody at least long ago thought, you know what? There's all these things that people are trying to sell as remedies and bottles and whatever else years ago, and then it was, I think laughter is the best medicine, though. And then we find out, almost 100 years later, that there was, individuals who have either had cancer or various comorbidities that were chronic, and then laughter, and again, that isn't, like we said, too, as the unknown, the unseen, the unheard, that would be great in research, too, where individuals have had recovery or had greater areas of improvement in their quality of life, whether or not it was terminal and became terminal, because we live life in measure, beginning, middles, and ends. But to be able to still see that quality, because I still think living is an art, and I think dying is an art. And again, I have a different mindset on death and dying, I feel, and it's a whole other podcast, too, if you want to go check it out. It's called Dignity and Death. And I think it's the overall thing that throughout the world, we all have this different concept of it. Some celebrate it once a year, and they have the memories of their ancestors, and while others see it as this morbid part where it's a circle of life, and then it's a conversation every once in a while, or when a joke comes up, the memory becomes, and nothing wrong here either way. We the approaches of it, I think, are different, but it is still, and some saw it as a, I laugh, because I wonder about it still, is the ancient Egyptians. One of the things, they had a huge emphasis. They, matter of fact, looked forward to it. They would, even down to the detail of painting, the pigment of paint in each tomb on the wall. That was the emphasis of how important that was in their life, or at least in the life of that. Again, some people say history is written by the victors, so do your own research as well. But still, to see that there was still, culturally, some people had to accept that was an important part, of life. And that's still part of health and wellness, too, is I still think someone can, literally, this is theory, again, do your own research, but somebody can worry themselves to death. We can stress ourselves to death. If you can stress yourself, if humans can stress themselves to having a heart attack, and, dude, I'm not trying to veer off here, but, if they can, I'm not here, this is all theory, of course, and if laughter can really, truly make an improvement in quality of life, well, then something's up. Something can really be truly made a difference. If art therapy, and depending on the country and the legislation, folks, too, psychedelics have been found as well. Not here to proponent on them. I'm here for safety and for testing, but I will give them their light. I still think they've been here for thousands of years, and for some reason, too, dude, I've found out psychedelics and death and dying somehow sometimes go hand in hand. Like, it allows for almost the discussion. It seems as if sometimes under these substances, again, do your own research, folks, people want to discuss these things, either, or they'll face it for themselves. Even throughout history, cultural tribes would have that, and I guess that was their avenue for it. even ones that we haven't even heard of too. That you bring a cell phone to an Amazonian tribe who hasn't even seen a human in probably 20 years, their area of quality of life and health and wellness is already set in stone, in my opinion. That's just me. Doesn't mean it can't be influenced. But I look to the integrity, too, of life, because I think that's one of the areas of being is life. You know, we can be in love, we can be not in love, we can be bored, we can not be bored. And that area of being is just, that leads into the health and wellness aspect, I feel. And it doesn't matter where we're at in the world, you know? So there was did you hear about the coral and how the coral respond? Yeah, so we're life. I'll say this as my own declaration against in theory. There's the research they've done into coral, and when they separate it from a reef, they can do it at two different remote parts of the world. And if the one piece of coral gets sick, somehow the other one, yeah, dude, I know, lean in for this one, the other one gets sick too. So, again, and do your own research on it. You're going to probably go, yeah, I know, I'm blown away. So that's life, and that's part of health and wellness. I still think that, I'll never forget, I was on assignment in Myrtle Beach, and I had a patient, and she had just had a stroke. She was an art teacher, nonverbal, wasn't talking to anybody, and from what I'd heard, and I had a nurse come to me, and she was like, I want to see if you can try to get her to talk. Mind you, at the time I had on my compression stockings that were, one was the Mona Lisa, and the other one was, what was the other one? This was it. Let's see, we had the Mona Lisa, and then we had Starry Night by Picasso. And I literally went into this patient's room, I asked if I put my foot up on her bed. She said yes. I said, okay, I got to show you something. And she was like, okay. Retired art teacher, literally just pull up my compression stockings. She sees the artistic, right, depiction on them, and she's just like, oh, I love it. And I was like, but it's these small areas, and came back, got nonverbal. I'm not the one who healed her. She healed herself, in my opinion. I still think if the human body is able to make itself sick, and if it can be done by the mind and placebo, I still think it can not totally heal itself. Again, there's up for debate for that, but I still think there's a heavy impact. And what we know, we know. We know, we don't know. We don't know, we don't know. So far, dude, if we know that, we know a lot. From what I've learned. So, I don't know, is there other areas of health and wellness that you'd like to touch upon the integrity or speak to, that maybe areas of improvement could be, or that you see promise in the future too? Because, I mean, we have, I don't want to dive too much into it, but we have like AI now kind of being integrated. They had, what was it, the Cleveland Clinic, I believe, had Watson back in like 2016, 2017. So they still had AI, it's just what it looked like. Now they say it's at the age of being two. Did you want to maybe talk upon tech or even, I would say even design or art? I threw a lot out there, so nothing wrong. You're pick and choose what would make the aspect here, but...
Yeah, like you've said, oh man, you covered you said so many things, and obviously, I just want to clarify, I don't necessarily, agree with everything that was said.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Right, because you said so much, and at the same time, what I love about what I can connect to is how you were able to jump from topic to topic to example to example. Like that in itself, I can look back and how I used to perceive myself, like way back, and how I used to be very critical of myself, very judgmental, regarding my thoughts going from one place to the other, and being in conversation with people and jumping from topic to topic. It excites me now, like having you cover so many topics at once as an approach to thinking and conversations that keeps me engaged and listening to you.
All right, so quality of life, dude. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's my favorite thing, because to me it's all about, like, it didn't used to be about the quality of life previously. For me, it was about, without even realizing I was trying to get somewhere and always comparing myself to other people. It doesn't mean that I don't do it every now and then. I still do it, unfortunately. Maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe it's just part of life. But really figuring out what is it that excites me in regards to, like, how can I have fun? Like, I once sat down and I was like, okay, what is it when am I happy? When am I having fun? And it was such a difficult question to answer. And when I figured that out, like, I don't know, you can tell me, have you ever done that before? Like, sat down and just, right?
Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you? Because to me, initially, it wasn't easy at all just to sit down and think of, what's fun. Right?
Yeah, what is fun? And then it circumstantially changes in the moment, because the thing is do you want to have fun, or is it already fun and then you just haven't declared it yet that it's fun, or that it could be? And then hold on, so fun leads down to one other word for me too, and that's play. Because we have work and we have play, the distinctions. We make a distinction in life. We have the word and work and we have play. Now, can we still play while working and work while playing? Yes. I still think for both. And it's just what it looks like, but have we all done it before? It's almost like riding a bike. Like, you can try to be the first one to get on without the training wheels and go down the hill and crash, if that's the way that it is. And sometimes you can be the one that just pedals and then learns it, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, holy crap.
But you know what's interesting is, like, when I first learned about meditation,
and not bikes aside,
to meditate, right?
Yeah. What? Oh, meditation, please. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily going to go to meditation because it could be boring for a lot of people. And then at some point, I would look at myself, or I think of myself as not, not good enough. Not. I can't meditate. I can't sit down and get myself to meditate like I'm supposed to meditate, right? And every time I thought about meditation, I would get discouraged, deflated, and ignore it and tell myself, the thoughts, that I have in my head, meaning how I speak to myself, the conversations that I have.
Whatever needed to be processed was still going to be processed in whatever way, good, bad, or indifferent for you, right? Yeah.
Totally. So what I'm getting at is when I realized that I can approach meditation in my own way, so I could be literally doing something. Like the other day, I turned on a meditation and I was listening to it. And the meditation, was saying, okay, you should probably lie down, close your eyes, all this stuff. I'm like, no, I'm going to listen to this. And I'm, going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to do things that I want to do. And I'm going to keep the meditation. I'm going to keep listening to it. And it had an amazing effect on me. And I didn't have to necessarily, go through what the meditation is necessarily telling me to do. But if I'm getting something from it, then that's okay. And not be too hard on myself, thinking I'm not doing this correctly. That to me was a huge breakthrough, because I felt this sense of freedom and ease, because I wasn't so hard on myself when I didn't do things properly,
or the way that it, or following the direction book. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yes, this is you took and I'm not a shout out here because I'm not sponsored, but you took a non-IKEA approach, right? You took the the non-traditional, but you tried it on, and what did you discover? You discovered it worked. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this goes back to things I grew up thinking, I had culturally or traditionally I had to do, right? When I got to a point and I told myself, okay, I don't have to do things I don't want to do, right?
Correct.
Right. And as long as the impact is between me and myself here, I'm not talking like promises to other people or obligations. I'm saying things that are between me and myself that I think I should be doing. And if I don't, I'm not good enough, etc. But to slowly, dance in the conversation with these thoughts, and maybe I don't have to meditate this way. Maybe I can have my own meditation that I design. That's fun for me.
Yeah.
And it might not make any sense to anyone else.
Yeah. And you can be inspired by other areas of meditation too, and take what worked, yes, and make your own. Why not? That's beautiful. Why not? And your own experience for that? Because who's to say that people also don't like the non-traditional? I mean, from what I've even discovered too, and again, I don't want to connect the two because there are distinctions, but there are even yogas that are hot yoga. There are ones that are cold yoga. So who's to say you can't have a meditational aspect, say, even in an ice bath, if someone wanted that time, or not? Because some people even find that. And do your own research here, but there's the Wim Hof, and please check into Wim Hof, do your own research regardless, but it worked for Wim Hof. So, and I'm not saying that has to work for everybody, and there's research behind it, but that was his discovery. So, and it worked. So you're up to something. Don't stop that, dude. Seriously. And if that's the way that you want meditation to be, oh my gosh, create it for yourself. And whoever it is you discover along the way, maybe they're doing it for themselves too, and then you can see what structure worked. Wow. But following the traditional aspect, you won't find that. You won't, from what I've found. And I don't know it all, but I'm finding out within the familiar, you usually don't grow, from my discoveries. Yeah, you got to be in the unfamiliar a little bit, and then see what you discover. And I'm not here to say breaking the law. I'm not here to say that, but to go out of your comfort zone, right? Yeah. So follow all state, local ordinances, regardless. And it's been I don't know if I ever told you this, dude. It's been a repetitive declaration on this podcast is to follow. We are here to follow, in the best of our abilities, all state and local ordinances, and federal as well. So, and that's anywhere throughout the world, whether the jurisdiction is a county, if it's called a city or it's not called a city, like whatever that legislation is, and the local ordinance is what they're called too, from what I'm finding too. There's just different misnomers throughout different parts of the world, but it's still the law. It's still the integrity of order, and whatnot. And there's people that like to make a mockery of it, and it only lasts for so long. I'm finding that out too. Same thing with even tax code. I don't know how it is in Canada, but there's people who try to do what's called the laugh rule, and they try to pull a quick one over the IRS, and guess what? They get caught. There's even been accountants who've gotten caught because they think they're ha ha, I'll pull a quick one, right? And the same thing goes for any kind of system, and it can ruin the integrity. So same thing with the integrity of making your own and discovering your own meditational technique. Again, not coaching or whatnot, just what I'm getting from it for myself. If I were to know anybody or anybody else were to ask me, I'd say, there was somebody I ran into, and they didn't like the traditional way. So, do you like the traditional way? Now I have a basis for that. Thank you for that, as to see that, because we have had it's on the Yonya Health podcast. This is Empower. There's Yonya Health Tech too, and we had a actual podcast with Sarah, who's a yoga teacher out of Cleveland, Ohio. She has her own studio. So, and I believe she also follows, and she does follow some traditional yoga, but I think she also has other choices that people can have. I believe there's a kind of yoga, I want to say it, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but there's one where you're literally aerial. I believe it's called aerials, where you're literally up, you're almost airborne. You literally are, and then the bands are wrapped around your legs and then your arms, and you're literally, you know what I'm saying? You've seen this? So, yeah. And
Yes.
but I can only imagine it doesn't mean that people can't be in a meditative state while doing that. So you're up to something, because even some people have done and been in a meditative state while doing a repetitive task, and they can still be within that state. There's people who've really literally hung upside down and been within a meditational state. So, or been out in a freezing temperature. So you're up to something, and to reapproach that and to see promise as to what it was before and what it is you want to do with it now. And from what it sounds like, you'd want to share it. You wouldn't want to do it alone. So, wow, that's quite something. And to have meditation as your basis. So we talk of spirituality and also non-spirituality here too, as well. But then some people get their promise from meditation, and there's crossovers. We'd be fooling ourselves to think there aren't crossovers in areas of relatedness in this. But to still see that can still lead to quality of life fills me up. It fills my cup up, dude. It really does. Certainly.
Oh, you know what I like doing that I did want to mention here?
Please.
Like, one of my favorite things is to rent a car from a local car sharing service, and for like an hour or two, and just go for a drive. For some reason, that relaxes me, gives me it does something to me where, and I make sure that I, leave very, let's say, early, or, at a time when there's no traffic, when the roads are mainly empty, and I just go for a drive. And I enjoy that so much. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. And but that's my thing, right? Like, that's my own personal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing this because to some people this might be not a fun thing to do at all, right? It's a task or a chore or something as such. So, but another thing I like to do is just to go to a coffee shop and just, sit down and get a tea, get coffee, decaf or other, and just sit down and just be around people, whether I'm on my phone or not. It's just nice to be around people outside. So I just got really excited to share with you or whoever's listening, the things that I like to do for fun, that are fun to me. They might not seem fun, to anyone else, but it's things that I make sure that I do, once a week or once every few weeks. Things that truly bring me joy. And that's it.
Yeah. And did you discover that in your comfort zone?
No, because initially I remember way
That's
back,
beautiful. I love it.
Be scared to go out alone to a coffee shop and sit down, or a restaurant. I had it that I always have to go out with someone else, and it's weird if I go out alone.
You can't date yourself. You can't go out on a date with dude. You can't just have. I get that too. No, I know some people who they'll literally take themselves on a date to the movies, and it's just what it is. It's what is so. And I'm not saying that that's what that is with you, but that's what their discoveries were, and they still see quality of life and improvement in that. And my goodness, thank you for sharing that, because even for myself, as I do drive DoorDash and Uber on the side, I usually just drive for work. So it would be nice to just go out for a drive, just to drive. Like, why not? So I'm going to take that with me. So thank you for that. But I didn't know, because I do want to be as timely too, if you had your empowering quote to kind of bring us back, or if there's any closing thoughts before we bring into the quote. It's up to you. Your canvas.
Yes. Way back, this other dude was like,
dude's other dude.
Another day. Yeah. This is what he said. There's always, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said something along the lines of, there's always going to be another day. And this was years ago, over, 15, maybe 20 or so plus years ago. And it's for some reason, it's stuck with me over the years. And it's interesting now that I'm seeing, things sticking with me and how the impact of these things. For example, that quote. And it's not like it doesn't always have an immediate, effect on me or immediate satisfaction per se as a quote, but it comes to mind every now and then. And slowly I start to see that, regardless of how things are now, there will always be another day. And that gives me a different perspective. Whether that's true or not, that there's always going to be another day, I don't know.
We don't have crystal balls, but that is your intention to take into the next day. How about that? Would that be your intention? Because there's a lot in intention. Matter of fact, if you haven't listened, there's a podcast we have on here with Drago, and Drago shared that as well. So there's a lot behind intention. Intention is a root of a lot of different things in life. Is what our intentions can be, and good, bad, or indifferent, that intention is still an intention, and then we have that as an area of measure. But wow, there is always another day. I love that. I dig it. Dude, thank you for making time and for inventing this as a possibility. And folks,
thank you so much.
This is the Empower Podcast. Thank you. Bye for now.